Well, there's not much to tell for Inter Miami. Master class from PSG. I thought they controlled the game from start to finish, obviously. They played really, really well, scored some fantastic goals. I thought towards the end, of course, Messi had, you know, a glimpse of chances, but not really clear chances. But I was here hoping and singing, praying when he had that free kick. I was like, Messi. He couldn't convert it.
What's worrying for any potential opponents? And it could be Flamengo or Bayern. They'll be facing off later tonight to take on PSG in the quarterfinals. But what's worrying for them is the fact that PSG looked like they almost didn't get out of second gear with that.
Yeah, to be fair, and it's true. And it was then easy to be folded up at halftime and make changes very early on in the second half, at the break, and then through the second half. Dembele coming back and playing half an hour is good too. And at times in the group stages, we saw them a little bit tired because they've played a lot of games already. I think this is the 62nd game maybe in the season, which is a lot. But it feels in that first half that they had that energy back.
Wow, they look fresh, they look lively, and they were absolutely devastating. Let's have a look then at the goals. All of them scored in the first half. The first two of them, rather surprisingly, from João Neves.
Yep, I mean, we talked about this in the second half. I don't get quite why no one was picking him up. We can clearly see there he was quite alone, free at the back stick, and fantastic header. Give the keeper no chance of saving that. Brilliant free kick as well from Vitinha as well.
And Pacho blocking a defender just for João Neves to be even more free like he was.
First time he'd ever scored 2 goals in the same game, not on the field to do the goal scoring, but he comes up with the second anyway.
Yeah, and this one, like the third one, sums up so much how they play. The high press, very aggressive press, Ruiz on Busquets, and then Barcola, Ruiz, Neves. That goes so quickly then, because they've got so many body on the front foot already ready to pounce once they recover the ball, and they did it. It's just a wonderful triangle between them three.
Yeah, we've seen Busquets do this, you know, all throughout his career, where he fakes to pass the ball the other way and goes the other way. But I think Fabian Ruiz obviously read him really well and pounced on it. Great pressing and just set them up for the second goal.
Now, Thomas Aviles had come on as an early sub and managed to get a yellow card before he even touched the ball, and things got even worse a little bit later on.
Yeah, Desiree Doué, who's been a bit quiet in this tournament so far, for his standard, with a really good cross, dangerous between the goalkeeper and the defender in that 6-yard box. And Aviles not sorting his feet out, not seeing the ball arrive. We see on the other angle and just being completely surprised by the fact that...
It's unfortunate, isn't it? The ball comes so quick at him. He couldn't see it. He couldn't do anything about it. Just an own goal. And here, this is the fourth one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Hakimi.
The ball from
there, the ball from Vitinha here, and Barcola here, Hakimi. And the reaction as well for him to then, second reaction to be the first to pounce on it again and put in the back of the net. Fantastic, fantastic goal. Team goal. Brilliant.
These diagonals from right to left or left to right towards Kvaratskhelia or towards Barcola have just been... This is what they do as well under Luis Enrique, and they're so good at it to isolate their wingers, and then either you square the ball or you go one-on-one with your defender. You make things happen that way.
It's the 20th time this season that PSG have scored 4 goals or more in a game. They did it against Inter Milan in the Champions League final, did it at the start of this tournament against Atletico Madrid. It can happen to you. Let's see what conclusions the Inter Miami manager draws from today's performance. Javier Mascherano is with Jenny Chu.
Javier, how do you analyze this game?
We could saw the difference between the teams, but we are very proud of the guys, because until the end they were working hard. They trying to play. The difference is like this. I think we have to move forward. We have to look forward, because that was a very, very great experience for us.
When you think about the tournament as a whole, what is your takeaway for Inter Miami?
No, I don't know. But at the end now, the most important thing is that we were working hard, we were playing well during this tournament. We know that today was going to be very, very difficult, because they are probably the best team in the world. But the second half we tried to play, we tried to show our work, so it was good.
Javier Mascherano there with Jenny Chu. Let's get the views now of a former Scotland and former England international who are there at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta watching the game. Paul Robinson there with Don Hutchison. Fellows.
Robbo, what we just witnessed there felt like the most purest game of football for 45 minutes I've seen in a long time.
It could have been anything, couldn't it, up to half-time. PSG are a team that I watched a lot in the Champions League this season. Been mightily impressed with them. had that surprising defeat in the group stages to Botafogo, but they've come here tonight, and I mean, the first half they were by far the better side. It could have been 4, 5, 6. They had the opportunities. They've got the pace. I said before the game, they've got the fullbacks that just push on. In Hakimi and Mendes, they've got players who will overload. They'll pack the midfield. They'll get forward into the final third, and they just look really, really impressive.
I mean, tactically, how do you try and stop them? I mean, you mentioned that Hakimi and Nuno Mendes bombing forward, but the three boys in midfield, so good at keeping hold of the ball, technically very strong. The rotation at the top end of the pitch is incredible, so it'll take some team to beat them.
They're difficult to play against, obviously, as we've seen in the Champions League this season. We spoke about it all season, you know, they've got rid of the stars, and the team's the star now, isn't it? They work so hard off the ball. That's the thing that's really impressed me the most, is the will to win, the will to get the ball back, and how quickly they want to get it back. But actually in the final third, they're very dangerous. Listen, if they're going to win this tournament, they're going to have to do it the hard way. Obviously, they could potentially got Bayern Munich in the next round. Then you're looking at maybe a Real Madrid, Juventus, depending on how things go. But at the moment, going into this tournament, they were my favourites into this tournament. I don't know about you. What do you think? I thought they were really strong.
You talked to Kimi there. I mean, he scored a great goal tonight. Could have had 1 or 2 more. I mean, some performance. I said on comms tonight, talking about Nuno Mendes and Achraf Hakimi, the 2 best fullbacks in the world for me. Do you agree?
Absolutely, especially the way that they play in the system and the licence that they're given. The defensive responsibility is their main duty, and they understand that. But actually, when the team go forward, the balance that they've got, when either one of the fullbacks pushes on, the balance, the understanding, you can just see they're a really well-coached side. Yeah. You know, not over-coached, but they all understand their own jobs, and they're a very, very difficult outfit to break down.
It's great that you mentioned that, because I remember in the World Cup when Luis Enrique was the Spanish manager, and I remember watching them, and his team were quite boring, which is the complete opposite of what you said here. They were like death by 1,000 passes, but they weren't going anywhere, weren't particularly scoring any goals, and weren't particularly exciting. They didn't excite me whatsoever. You look at this team, and I get the feeling now with Luis Enrique in charge, I think this might be the evolution of football. We might now see for the next couple of years football completely changing, potentially going away from having 1,000 passes a game, but being more dynamic going forward.
Well, that's the first thought. Every single player in a PSG shirt there, you can see it on the pitch. When they get the ball back, the first thought is either you move forward with the ball or your first pass is forward. Yeah. You're the shortest route to goal, and that's what they've been looking for. And that's the thing that's really, really impressed me about them. It's, like you say, it's going to take some stopping them.
And a word of Marquinhos, being the older statesman, the experience, the voice, the knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, every team's got to have that, the leader. The spine through a team, we always talk about the strength and the spine of a team. Donnarumma, for me, has been outstanding in goal. OK, he's made some errors in La Liga this season, but actually in the big games in the Champions League, he's stepped up. His positional awareness of where he is in his box, he knows exactly what he is. Him, Marquinhos, the spine that they've got through. They're going to be a tough nut to crack, Don, they really are.
Do you concur with me, champions?
I said it before the tournament, yeah, but they've got the hardest route in. But yeah, I'll stick with it.
Back to you guys.
Very nice. Thank you so much to Paul and Dom there. Jules, the quadruple dream is still on for PSG.
I mean, quadruple is already there. This is what's after.
Oh, you counting that one?
If you count the French Super Cup, Community Shield, whatever you want, plus the league,
quintuple, is it?
Quintuple, yeah. Until December, we didn't believe this was possible because they were stuttering. It was a slow start in the Champions League. They could not score. They were still defensively a bit naive at times because Luis Enrique was still trying to put together this jigsaw that we've talked about with the right pieces, the right dynamic, and then it clicked probably in that game against Man City back in December under the rain and the price in the Champions League, where they go two goals down after 50 minutes and then they turn it around completely, and after that they were just not stopping them. Everything starting fitting perfectly with each other, every department of the game, from the build-up phase to the pressing to the counter-pressing to the efficiency in front of goal to the Donnarumma to Kvaratskhelia, everybody, and really since then they haven't looked back.
Best team you've seen this season?
So far, yeah, this season they've been absolutely fantastic. You know, I think those three in the midfield for me, they are the best. You know, in what they do, they can pass you to death. Once they control the game, for me, PSG look totally like a different team.
Okay, well they certainly were on a completely different level to Inter Miami in the first half. Second half was goalless. Have a look at some of the moments there that the MLS side put together, because they were more positive, they were more adventurous, or were they just allowed more into the game, Jules?
I think a bit of both. To be fair, we expected it. We said at half-time that PSG were never really going to run down the score, I think, and they didn't press as hard and as aggressively. Wonderful touch by Messi, and Suarez should hit it first time. Should not even need to control the ball because the ball is so perfect.
Time hasn't stood still for Suarez, you feel, even if he has for much of the game.
No, I mean, listen, there, like I said, Messi did have, have chances, but not like perfect chances. But he did started in the second half. I thought, he came into the game. He was a bit more aggressive. He wanted to play. He wanted the ball a bit more, and we could see there, once Messi's in the game, he makes things happen. There again, 1-2. It's just, we talk so much about this brilliant save from Donnarumma. We talk so much about how this PSG side is going forward. One thing we don't give them the credit is how they defend.
Yeah.
They've played in this tournament now. They scored 10 goals, only conceded 1. We talk about how good they are going forward. Also, when they defend so well. And that's something that Luis Enrique has changed since he took over from this club. PSG was not a team that defended really well until he came into the football club.
Right. When we were watching the first half and the game was progressing, you were getting quite misty-eyed about when you'd faced Messi yourself back in your Chelsea days.
Incredible.
You're still thinking about it.
Incredible. Nightmares. I still have nightmares.
Yeah.
But just unbelievable.
So far ahead of anybody else you faced.
So far.
Why? Why
just the way he plays, the way he touches the ball. It's like the ball never lifts his feet. He's so clever. He's just somebody who walks around the pitch, scans the whole pitch, and once the ball touches his feet, he goes. Everything just moves. It's like it's like watching somebody from a different planet. That's what that's what we talk about.
We saw some glimpses of that. We saw some of them just now. Here's a little run of some of the Messi moments that so many in the crowd there had come to see.
Yeah. Unbelievable. This pass
That's
here
for
Suarez. I think we talk about his dribblings and everything. His passing as well is the weight of the pass is just pitch perfect. You don't need to take any other touch. He's just a brilliant footballer. On his, during his days when he was Messi, it was incredible to play against. I was fortunate to play against him so many times. The way he was quick, strong, very, very good on the ball. It's just everything he does was just so perfect. He rarely makes mistakes, and that's the good thing about it. You see there another weight of pass. It's just incredible when you watch him play. And the movement as well. He never stops. He wants to get into the box. He wants to score goals, create chances. And that's what you want from a player like him.
John said that before facing Barcelona and Messi with Chelsea, they would train on purpose to face Messi with another player, obviously, that would just be like a mannequin.
Yeah, who would have to do that?
I don't know who, but just to show that there's not many, you don't usually, you train to face a team collectively, maybe in different shape, but not one player, but yet they were spending time at training to just pretend that Messi was there and how you would defend a 1, 2, or 3 against him.
He's won everything, including, of course, a World Cup with his nation against it, aside from France. But so this maybe won't sting too much, but playing against his former club, a club that he left and under not the happiest of circumstances, how much will today's performance burn?
I don't know. I think we saw him after the Palmeiras game when they drew 2-2, and a win would have made them top of the group. They would have avoided PSG, and we saw how unhappy he was because he knew already he would face PSG, and I think they didn't want that, to be fair. So yeah, I think that would have hurt a little bit. It's not nice. I don't know if you've lost many games. I don't think so because you were so good. But any player, whatever level, whatever division, losing 4-0, being 4-0 down at halftime is humiliating. Even especially if you're Messi.
Yeah.
He's still got lots of football in him. Would you say the same for Luis Suarez on that performance?
John knows. I don't think so. I saw him in the group. I know he scored. I know he scored against Palmeiras.
And it looked like he was rolling back the years.
I'm not sure he did. He got a little bit lucky. I felt on that goal with a couple of touches that went his way. He doesn't look fit to me physically. Messi looks fit at 38.
Yeah.
Suarez doesn't. I don't know if there's still a bit of an injury somewhere. His knee, his ankle.
I think the thing is the pace, isn't it? Is the speed. He doesn't have that anymore. We talked about it in the first half. How many of that Inter Miami players are going to be able to run past this PSG? Not many. And when you want to score goals, when you create chances, you want to get into the opponent box. You need that. You need pace. You need speed. You need agility. They don't have that. And this is what this PSG team have. Young, quick, dynamic. How do you beat that? And that was, for me, that was the difference today. And of course, the class, the quality that PSG can bring into the game. With Doe, Kelly, Vitinha in the midfield, João Neves, all these players. Once it starts to happen for them, they're very difficult to stop.
Okay. Well, Suarez has had his issues, and in many ways, it's a miracle that he is still playing with the injuries that he's picked up along the way. But Leo Messi has still been delighting us, even in a defeat as heavy as this.